Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us in another conference. And in this afternoon, we have the privilege and the pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Lilika Couri. She is a teacher, educator, and EFL school management consultant in Greece and abroad. She's a director of educational training concepts and has co-authored EFL teaching books, a founding member of TESOL Greece and of the Greek Fulbright Alumni Association. She has served on the board of both volunteer associations, so we are honored and privileged to have her here, and we are going to give now a big applause, and the microphone is all yours, Dr. Lilika.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here again. And I'm really quite enthusiastic about the conference, and I'm actually hoping to attend some of the most of the sessions tomorrow, as here it is 10 p.m. in the evening. And by the time I finish, I'll stay up a bit, but it's kind of difficult to attend during the night. Okay, I'm going to start. And by the way, I'm not a doctor, I'm just Lilika. And if you want to address me or whatever, just call me Lilika. What I'm going to ask you, which is very important, is to interact with me using the chat box whenever I tell you and I ask you to. You can write anything if you wish, but just before I share, I just wanted to make sure to tell you that this is an extremely interactive session. I really do depend on what you are going to say, because we're starting with an interactive activity. So I'm going to share now, and then we'll do the activity. Great. Okay. Right. That's it. Okay. Get ready. I'm going to show you in seconds. I'm going to show you a picture. And what I would like you to do is to just jot down in the chat box your reactions. It can be words. I don't expect sentences. It can just be words. It could be sentences, phrases, whatever you like. Just your reactions, your thoughts, your feelings. So let's just close our eyes first. And I want you to inhale and exhale. Okay. And here's the picture. And you can start writing in the chat box. I don't see anything yet. Or is there? And I can see. Let's see. Oh, good. Calm, peaceful. Yes. Beautiful, peaceful, peace, calm, tranquility. Okay. Right. Good. Any more? Let's see. Relaxing moment. Yeah. Okay. Great. Right. Good. This is a quick activity, just so we can somehow be introduced into what we will be discussing today. And this is, how to help our learners learn to daydream. They do daydream, but we would like them to use this daydreaming a bit more creatively and for some other reasons. Okay. Let's see the rationale for this activity, which you can use. Everything I do today, you can just take and use it in the classroom. Okay. Now, we would use an activity like this to teach our learners to daydream. And this we call directed daydreaming. In other words, I made you respond, react, and write your thoughts, emotions, and so on. And we do use directed daydreaming a lot. You don't need to give any more instructions. You don't need to give an example, which we usually do when, obviously, because this is part of our class management. But when you use this activity, no instructions, let the learners feel free to answer. All answers, reactions are valid. In other words, I shouldn't have said where I read write, peace, relaxing. I shouldn't have said, oh, is it only that? Couldn't it be something like this? I have no place and there's no reason for me to do something like that, because then I am interfering with your directed daydreaming. This is not a test. It is not a competition. It is an effort on our part to guide our learners to do something that, as we will see, science tells us that we do pretty much 50% of our time that we are awake. And at the beginning, where if you first do an activity like this, some learners may see objects, ideas, may write feelings, emotions, as you did beautifully. Imagination should not be fostered. Some learners may not see anything at all this time, but they will eventually see. Okay, let's just go back to my title, Give Learners a Break. And I did it on purpose, because what I mean is give them a break, both literal, give them a break, and figurative. And the figurative, of course, is the one that is very important as well. In other words, what do I mean? Do use brain. Pardon? Oh, okay. Do use frequent brain breaks, especially when we're talking about children, when we teach young learners, but give brain breaks to everybody, to adults plus, as I say when I refer to myself and some of my colleagues. And if you do online teaching, give them more brain breaks. And we will be having some brain breaks this evening as well. And also, at the same time, I use the, and I love the expression in English, give them a break. In other words, just release, let them work independently, become more autonomous, let them be free, and plan shorter lessons. I've never been in any of the countries in South America. I have had, just a bit, as I say, the border of Mexico, which was really nothing. And this was long ago. But from colleagues and friends, somehow I have the feeling that your lessons are long, quotation marks. And I also know throughout the world, many teachers still insist on extensive and really kind of hard lessons. I don't know whether it is my age, whether I have finally matured, as Sean Connery used to say, but it's been some years now that I believe in shorter lessons. I believe in quality as opposed to quantity in everything. And it is much more successful, I'd like to say. So plan shorter lessons, welcome the learners' contributions, whatever they might be. Now, a daydreaming activity right now, as we, with even older learners, not only children, would be to start the lesson with, what would you like us to do today? And let the learners tell you what they'd like you to do with them on that day. Or this is for a bit older learners, beyond school or university. What? And let them think. By the way, this is also critical thinking and creative thinking. And it is very important. Also, 3 wishes you have for this coming year, if it is the beginning of the year, or depending on how your school and university formats are, the beginning of this semester, after the long break or something like that. So this is the rationale behind my title, and I wanted to explain this just in case. Okay, let's have a brain break to release tension, and also for those who do a lot of online work, whether it is teaching, learning, researching, preparing, whatever. Let's do this activity. I want you to take, let me just get this, but I'll give you the instructions, okay? Right, good. I'll give you, I have all of the reference at the end, and you can take, slides or a photo or whatever. Okay, take your ring finger and place it here on the bridge of your nose between the eyebrows. And I prefer, there are 2 alternate ways that we could use it. The one option is to press, and the other one is to massage. I prefer the massaging because it is much more calming, or I feel more calm. And just gently massage. And let me see you do it, those of you that I can see. Let's see, and take the chat box down, good. And just close your eyes, and just breathe in and out calmly and massage. I don't know whether you were teaching this morning. I don't know how stressed you are, but did you feel anything? Now, press a bit just in case this does the job for you a bit more. As I said, I prefer the massaging. It does help me a lot. That's a nice activity, and it's a nice activity to do with our learners, all ages. I usually, I was in Saudi Arabia for a whole year this past year, and I had adult students. It was a project, but they were students. They were bank employees. And the ages were between 25 to 40, very few 40. They loved it, and they loved the other brain breaks that you will see as well. But I've also done this with young learners, and they're the ones who really like it a lot. So that's one kind of brain break, which is useful a lot, especially if you see your learners somehow feeling a bit not restless, but anxious or stressed, as a matter of fact. Okay, let's talk a bit about daydreaming. I mean, what do I actually mean? What is it really? Why do I say that it is important? Okay, we're going to discuss the 3 scientific benefits of daydreaming. And these are really quite, they explain a lot and they're quite useful. Now, according to research, as I said earlier, we all spend between 30 to 50% of our waking hours daydreaming. Mind wandering, some people call it. That's okay if they want to call it mind wandering, but it is daydreaming. I don't know, do you daydream? I'd like to ask, now that I've said 1 or 2 things, could I see in the chat box whether you daydream? I daydream a lot. I've been daydreaming all my life. As a child, I was born during very difficult times and very strenuous times. I used to daydream constantly. So you do, Diego. Great. Thank you. Let's see. Anybody else? All the time, Brenna. Fine. Yes. And do you feel great when you daydream? Because I feel great. Okay. Good. Right. I so wish we could be face to face and I could be with you and see you. But anyway, some other time. Okay, right. Now, let's see what science says about daydreaming. One of the benefits, defocusing helps us focus. This is very important. Now, according to science, there's evidence that suggests that people who daydream are at an advantage in attaining the goals they fantasize about. And this is something that Eric Klinger has said in his book, Frontiers in Psychology. Now, Freud also believed in daydreaming, and he believed, there was, as far as Freud is concerned, we have both a positive and a negative use for daydreaming. He believed in it because he felt, he used to say that daydreaming helped people get out of their harsh reality in many ways. But he also believed that this daydreaming helped them in terms of themselves and their inner, let's say, peace. So this is, as you see, it's a way to get away from a world that's unsatisfactory or unpleasant. But at the same time, this was a kind of a release. Okay, now, the second benefit, daydreaming improves creativity. I totally agree with this. According to science, if we are stuck for ideas, and quite often we do get stuck, if we daydream, then intentionally, that's the directed daydreaming. If we daydream, then we can start, somehow it's like starting the car, starting the engine, and the ideas then start coming down. It's almost like the rain. Use an umbrella then to get the ideas. And daydreaming can increase performance. Now, according to science, sometimes more is less. In other words, we expect more. That's what I meant about shorter lessons and not too much. More gives us less. They produce less. I really do believe that. I haven't become, let's say, what my friends say that I have mellowed. I haven't mellowed. I believe that somehow when we talk about experience, I honestly think that experience is being able to philosophize, even getting up in the morning and saying, thank you that you got up in the morning. So, according to science, it's okay to let our mind wander so it can come back with renewed strength. So while we're wandering, of course, we're not doing that particular grammar activity or something like that, but we are probably coming up with some other ideas that are much, much better, or with a very nice English expression that we hadn't thought of, or we wouldn't really get to it if we had finished the kind of rote learning. No, did he say that? Yes, he did. No, he didn't. And he hasn't said that for years. The present perfect is the, I think it is the adored friend and enemy of all teachers and of all learners. In Europe, more so than in that part of the world, because for the 15 years that I was in the United States, we never used the present perfect. And when I came back to Greece, all British educated colleagues and friends used to correct me when I used the simple past. Don't worry, either way, things get done. All right, daydreaming has its benefits when it is used at the right time and in the right place. And this is a very interesting article by Annabelle Blake, The Future Minds Lab, and it was in, I found it in LinkedIn, which has been helping all teachers a lot, as well as Facebook, by the way, but this is for tomorrow when we have the panel. Okay, now, we're going to do an activity. And the title of the activity is My Magic Box. And this is the magic box. And here it is, my magic box. Now, this is indeed a magic box because this particular box can really, you can fit in the tiniest of things, but you can also fit in this box huge things. It can take a lake, it can take an ocean, it can take a boat, it can take a plane, a pink elephant. If you're with children, they love pink elephants flying up in the air. This was one of the most beautiful daydreaming results of one of my learners when she told me that she could really see a pink elephant. Okay, right. Now, let me finish my instructions and let me show you my example. And then I would like you to use the chat box, and I would like you to also use our magic box now. So, if you have scrap paper or something, whatever you do, just jot down so you remember. I'll bring it back. I'll show the example and then I'll bring back this slide. What I want you to do is to write two different sentences. The first sentence will be, I will put in my box. You can say, I will put in my magic box if you wish. So this is the beginning of the sentence, and just keep this one, plus a noun or an adjective and a noun. Don't start writing now. Let me just complete. And then the next sentence is, I will give my box to, and write a person or persons, anybody you wish. Okay, here's my example. I will put in my box a boat in a big blue sea. I will give my box to a child so she can travel all over the world. Use your chat box. And remember, I will put in my box plus a noun or an adjective and a noun. Here it is. And then I will give my box to, and give your box to any person you wish. And use the chat box. Diego, you need to write where you will give your box also. Because we need to give things to people. I will put in my box a white canvas. Oh boy, here they come. Perfect. Joaquin, correct. Joaquin, is it pronounced correctly? I will put in my box an awesome CD. I will give my box to one of my best students. Yeah. Lovely.
It's Joaquin.
Joaquin, thank you. I will, English conference, okay. I will put in my box many ideas to motivate people. I will give my box to each student in my class to never lose motivation and a love for learning. That's absolutely great. I will, Paulette, I will put in my box, I will, I will put in my box a lot of chocolates and will give my box to Dania. She's here. Well, that you know, Dania, you're really lucky. I'd like some chocolates as well, but you cannot just send them so far away. I don't know whether I will put in my box something and give it to your family, because well, you could put your family in the box, Paulette, keep them safe. Diego, I will give my box to my students so they have some fun drawing. Absolutely great. David or David, I will put in my magic box a delicious chocolate. I will give my magic box to anyone who deserves to experience the sweetest of the world. Thank you, that's great. Oh, Dania, you got the chocolates? No, I will put in my box a beautiful butterfly. I will give my box to my little sister for her to remember how beautiful life is. What a beautiful thought. Your sister is very lucky. You will be surprised what your learners will write. Often it is extremely touching, and quite often it is extremely humorous. Whatever it is, though, they start believing in the incredible, the impossible, the miracle. And I think many of us come from countries which have religions that believe a lot in the ritual, in the miracle. And we also have histories where a lot of miracles, quotation marks, miracles took place. I think we are all quite fortunate. By the way, it is a miracle that we all somehow, that we're here, and the pandemic, as Dudley Reynolds said yesterday, has been officially declared over. I don't know about you, in my country, it's starting to get back again. But it's like the flu now, we all react to it. Okay, now why would we use an activity like this? Obviously, to encourage daydreaming, to encourage, as I said, our learners to believe in the impossible, to start thinking and to start helping their imagination to develop, and to be able to help them for the imagination, their imagination, to help them daydream, but also to help them create, especially when they need to do writing. Because I believe, having worked a lot with writing as a skill, especially when teaching EFL, also when for years I taught literature, because I'm a literature person. These are all my degrees are in literature. I turned to language when I came back to Greece, because I saw that language was the thing. Literature at that time was not really something that I could help my country with. But I believe I did help my country in teaching language and working with language. It's important to use imagination when we learn a foreign language, because by using imagination, we create. And a lot of foreign language learning demands, actually, not just requires, demands creativity. Each time our learners say a sentence, they, in English or any other foreign language, they are creating, within quotation marks, without quotation marks. We need to remember this. Since all of us are second language speakers and learners of the English language, at least most of us, I am. English is a second language for me. My language is Greek. Each time we also create, each time we say a sentence in English. Okay, let's just complete some ideas about daydreaming. Daydreaming allows us to imagine things as they might be, Freud, not as they are, which is the crux of creativity and innovation. That's why I was talking so much about it a bit just a minute ago. Learners, our learners, need to be trained to learn, to become aware. They do daydream, but they need to be trained to become aware when they daydream. So ask them to write down their thoughts, their emotions. Eventually, they self-monitor. Make them aware of this. Daydreaming is actually a strong indicator of an active and well-equipped brain. And it's been correlated with better working memory, higher levels of creativity and more effective problem solving. In other words, critical thinking. Now, while I was researching, I was very lucky because I found very useful, as you will see this and what follows, very useful information about daydreaming. This is a very interesting illustration of daydreaming and what is happening with the brain. And I found it in an article by Lindsay Kolowitz, Why Do We Daydream? Daydreaming, what is it? The communication between the front and the back of the brain that doesn't normally occur. The underlining is hers, not mine, okay? Daydreaming, very active brain. And then look at the drawing of the brain, the front and the back of the brain. The back of the brain is the emotions. The front is part of it, and up cognitive. That is very important. Keep this in mind because we're coming to something that is really extremely helpful in somehow concluding with this proposal I'm making, this suggestion about daydreaming. But there's a brain break, and it's a brain break with movement. And it's a brain break, one of the brain breaks that I used to use with my students who were science teachers when I taught them CLIL in Kazakhstan, Aktobe, Kazakhstan. And if you wish, because we're going to be doing something that is going to be a bit more demanding, you can stand up and dance along with them because that's exactly what they're doing. Get up and dance. I'm going to just dance in. I love looking at it. You didn't get up, but I used to use, I'll tell you, these were teachers who were science teachers. Their English was really, it should have been B2 level, but it wasn't. And I had to train them to be CLIL trainers and CLIL teachers in science. And this took place, I mean, this was every day for 9 hours. By the 3rd hour, they were kaput. So I used to use all sorts of brain breaks, and one of them was dancing. So this is a Kazakh dance, which they usually dance at weddings, but we have other dances. I taught them Greek dances, folk dances. They taught me Kazakh dances, and we used to dance. Often, I would just get up and say, follow me. I would open the door and go out, and we would walk around the block and then come back. And this is how we managed and they managed. And they finally took their Cambridge CLIL exam and they passed it all, thank God. Okay, so there's a brain break as well. Right, let's go. No, here we go. And this is what I said we were coming to, which really shows us in a beautiful way how the brain works and how emotions and thoughts and knowledge work along. I found this article, and it is extremely interesting, in a newsletter, The Thoughtful Learner, and this is the link. And as I said, at the end, I have the slide with all of the references. The title is Connect Social Emotional Learning to the Brain. This is the brain. Look at it. This is the brain stem. And this is the limbic system. It's in the back. And the cortex right on top, and the prefrontal cortex, where the foreign language learning is taking place. And the author, by the way, I don't have the name of the author because the whole article is there without the author's name. But the author recommends that we teach our students how the parts of the brain work together, because it is important. And then I transfer it to young learners in a short while. Our students down the brain stem, down here, the stem, they need to feel safe. And this is where safety comes before they can manage their emotions, the limbic system. And they need to feel safe and manage their emotions before they learn. Okay, now let's look at this. He's making it much, much clearer, and he's using the hand model. So take your hand. It's useful, and you need your hand. What he says is down here is the brain stem, and that's how he teaches it to children. Down here is the brain stem, the lizard brain, as he says, and it is in charge of safety, survival. Now, this is the limbic system, the dog brain, which is in charge of emotion motivation. And this is the owl brain, which is in charge of thinking, learning, decision-making. Now look at it like this, to your hand, and look at it and tell me what it looks like. Look at it. If you do this, it is the brain. It is the brain. It's a beautiful idea. All right, an activity for young learners. What I did was I traced the brain, and then I used very simple language. I didn't say emotions. I said happy, sad. In safety, I said safe, no danger, and so on. And thoughts, ideas, I know. And then I traced it for each one of them, and I asked them to color in different colors, use different colors, and color in each one of the parts. And as they were coloring, I said, if you think of any words, then write them. And it was amazing what they did. They totally grasped the idea of how the brain works. So they can do it after they have colored or while they're coloring. But as I was, really working with this activity, I remembered Maslow's pyramid. And then I saw something that I had never thought of before. Look at it. Here's the brain stem, the safety and survival. It's the base of Maslow's pyramid, the basic needs, physiological needs, food, water, warmth, safety needs, security, safety. The limbic system, emotions, the next two levels of Maslow's pyramid, the psychological needs, belongingness and love needs, friendships and intimate relationships, esteem needs, prestige and feeling of accomplishment, and then thinking and learning, self-actualization, self-fulfillment needs. It's amazing. This is exactly what Maslow did. I was really extremely impressed. Okay, get up now and go find, that's a brain and you need to do it. I don't know where you are. If you're at home or anywhere, just get up and go find either a blue scarf or a blue paper, any kind of blue paper. That's another brain break. Just get up and go find it. And come back quickly so we can conclude. And the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. If you're back, you're back. And we're going to close with a daydreaming, thinking of the impossible activity, nothing more, nothing less than a folk tale, a fairy tale. It's a West African story. But first, and we will combine it with total physical response, with TPR. So please listen and do, and then you will be saying, if you wish, okay, listen and do and say after me, the sun. Let me see your arms like this, the sun. Very good. The moon. The moon, The sky. The blue that I told you, the ocean. Oh, great, the ocean. Very good. The dolphins. The dolphins. The octopus. The octopus. And the whales. Good. Okay. And now we're going to listen and do a story, how the sun and the moon came to be in the sky. And this is a West African story. So I'll be telling the story and I would like us to do the movements together. So the sun and the moon lived in a small house. The sun and the moon had a very good friend, the ocean. The sun and the moon invited the ocean to come to their house. But the ocean had many friends. The ocean had the dolphins, the octopus, and the whale. And so the ocean said to the sun and the moon to build a bigger house. And they did. And they invited the ocean to come to their house. The ocean asked all of his friends, the dolphins, the octopus, and the whales, to go to the house of the sun and the moon. They did. And there were so many that the sun and the moon had to go up on the roof of the house. But the ocean kept coming, and the dolphins kept coming, and the octopus kept coming, and the whales kept coming. And so the sun and the moon went up into the big blue sky. And we all lived happily ever after. I know that it was kind of difficult for you, but you know, children love repetition. Children love doing all of these things, love pretending, being, as my niece, when she was little, used to say, I like to be pretending animals. And they love it. Okay. To sum it up, teach kids to daydream. Now, Scott Kaufman is an author. His book, very successful. He's a cognitive psychologist, and his book, Ungifted, Intelligence Redefined. In this book, he argues that while this dreamy, reflective, let's say, state might look like idleness and, you know, mind wandering and all that, to an outsider, daydreaming kids are at work. And the one I really like, by Jessica Leahy, an English teacher, what else, and also a writer, and I'll read it. Teach your kids how to just be, how to value silence and be at peace with nothing but their thoughts to occupy them. Make a reality the romantic notion of laying back on the soft grass with nothing to do other than to watch the clouds pass overhead. And that is creative daydreaming. These are the references, if you would like to have them. And thank you. Gracias. Ευχαριστώ, as we say in Greek. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your, interaction and everything. I don't know, it's 5 minutes. David, do we need? Yes.
Okay, yes. I think that we have 5 more minutes left. So we would like to know if you have any questions, teachers. So you can type them on the chat box if you have any question, or if you want any words to say thank you to Ms. Lilika. So you're welcome to write and type them in the chat box. Well, the audience.
Thank you, Ana Hernandez. Thank you.
The audience is extremely excited for having you in this presentation. Definitely, we all have learned many things, and this is something that we really need to keep in touch and into account, because Daydream improves creativity, Daydreams enhances positive mindset, and many things. Yeah. So they are definitely so grateful with this presentation. Thank you so much, Ms. Lilika.
Thank you. I guess it's tomorrow again at 6. I'm saying my time, 6 and 8, the panel. I've checked it, and don't worry, I'm going to make sure in the morning that there won't be the same hitch with the internet. Thank you very much, and all the best for the rest of the conference today. It's a pleasure to be with you. I hope it's not as hot there as it is here, because it's very hot here still. Okay, I think we're done, right?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, you're okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.